Welcome to episode 17 of MudderRucker, the only podcast dedicated to Irish women's rugby. I'm Ailbhe and Cian.
And I'm Cian O'Mullor.
So, semi-finals weekend is over, and to some, there was a major upset. The Black Ferns were hoofed out of the competition by a Canadian side that seemed to absolutely nail their strategy on the day, and the hopes of a third World Cup in a row was no more for those Black Ferns. So, joining us to chat about the games is our in-house resident expert, Chloe Pearse of the House of Munster, the first of her name, queen of the back row, mother of Robins, champions of the red jersey, prop of unwillingness, queen of the breakdown of broadcast, and the Duke of Limerick. Chloe Pearse.
I'm still working on the Duke of Limerick part. I couldn't get into the council last week, so
Keep
I'll come
knocking.
back to you on that. Yeah, I'll keep knocking on that door.
And our special
paperwork's
guest,
a bitch. Oh, it's terrible. Oh.
and our special guest today, the pride of Naas and the most frequently dropped name on this podcast by her teammates. It's Ruth Campbell. Welcome, Ruth.
How are you? Jeez, Chloe, that's some intro. Where can I get one of them?
You have to keep coming
Well,
back,
I'd
Ruth.
say,
Shut
yeah,
up.
you
They'll
just start
keep, this is
adding
how
it
they
on
get
there,
you now. That's how they get you now.
Name's getting longer with each episode.
She's just won so many trophies that the intro has changed gradually. You just have to keep going bigger and better.
Yeah, the hard part is going to be fitting all of that on the screen in text.
Yeah, best of luck to you now. So, Ruth, as a young player on the Irish side, you made quite an impact, particularly on the pitch this year, but even off the pitch and on social media in particular, you've been very vocal and passionate supporter of Palestine. It's a subject that clearly means a lot to you.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, like, especially as the Irish, like, we've been through, like, similar circumstances. And for anyone not to sympathise with it is just insane. Like, it's devastating what's happening, and it needs to come to an end.
I think it's incredible that you use your platform to speak out. You know, there's a lot of players out there that are using their platforms, and it's a rugby platform they have, and they're using it to boost their profile in rugby and boost the game. But you seem to be using your profile in particular to highlight the atrocities going on. Is it a decision that you've made to do that on purpose?
I don't think so. I think that's just, like, I see these posts and I want to share them. Like, I don't think that I, like, particularly has put my mind to, I think it's bare minimum to put them up on your social media. I think the real, like, changes where we have conversations, like, with people who don't, like, that wouldn't particularly know much about it, and you'd have those little conversations, and, like, all of a sudden they're kind of more interested, they want to get involved, and they show up to protests, and stuff starts happening then. So yeah.
I think as individuals, I think certainly for me, it seems really, really hard to actually make an impact on anything. And I think, like you say, the small bits that we can do to support it are incredibly important. And I think you've hit on a great point there, that our Irishness, it's kind of an inherent thing to stand up for the underdog, to stand up for those who are being colonised. And I see other players as well using their platforms. For example, Monty Boyne, Leinster captain, has been doing that quite a bit as well. Jenny Murphy, former Leinster and Ireland player as well, really, really vocal on the topic. And it's great to see so many people using their profiles. Do you think we could be doing more? What more could anybody do? Is it just about being vocal and having those conversations?
Yeah, I think it's about, like, having conversations, like, and I think there's an account, like, holding people accountable slightly as well, like, with boycotts and everything. I know it seems like such, like, a far stretch that if I don't buy this can of Coke, then nothing's going to happen if I don't buy this can of Coke. But you decide where your money goes. Like, if I don't want to fund a genocide, basically, I'm not going to put my money where that's where the money goes. I worded that shy, but
No, it's a really good point. However small an impact it makes,
yeah,
collectively it does make a big impact. So the more people who can do that, and you could be aware that, you know, when we are buying certain products, when we are visiting certain shops or services, we are effectively funding a genocide, and it's
100%.
the more noise we can make, the more that we can collectively fight back against it. So kudos to you. It's incredible what you're doing, and keep going. I think, you know, talking about a genocide like what's going on in Gaza and in Palestine, it's hard to move on from such a deeply important topic into something that, relatively speaking, seems so unimportant like rugby. But we'll try and do it. We'll try to not be too brutal about it. I'm reminded of over the summer, I spoke on BBC Women's Hour, and I was speaking about rugby just with a bunch of fans from other countries. And we were following straight after Theresa May, who was talking with and about victims of modern slavery. And we got straight into rugby in the World Cup, and it was just like whiplash kind of
Talk about a
stuff.
genre change.
That's a
exactly.
switcheroo.
Yeah. So we'll try to be a little bit less brutal in this transition. Ruth, like we said, you're an international player. You're really well supported, including by a group of bananas that were in Brighton. I don't know if you saw all of those.
Oh, I know them all.
You know them
Oh,
all.
you know the
Amazing.
bananas.
Yeah,
Are they
that's
a
my
good bunch?
mom and my old club.
Oh, amazing. And speaking of your mum, your family are really good supporters, I believe. And they travel really well too. Roll it there, Roshi. Not
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
smiles if you're in green
There's the man
this
himself.
afternoon.
Who's
We'll
that?
show it.
That's my dad, yeah.
Where's his shoes?
What's
going on?
He travelled over and he didn't know what the weather was going to be like. It's Wales, he thought maybe similar to Ireland, so he was in his hiking shoes and his jeans and turns up and it's a heat trap in the stadium. He's sitting in the sunny stand and he starts rolling up the trousers, taking off his socks. Next thing you know, he's on camera then, fucking purple bucket hat on as well. I actually spotted him in the stand when I was on pitch and I was just... Yeah.
It's
He's so
peak
man.
dad energy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
I absolutely love it. And the comms gave it loads as well. It was
Yeah, no
absolutely
doubt.
brilliant to see. Brilliant to see. Right, Ruth, we'll get into just a little bit about you, if that's okay. So what's it like being in a World Cup camp? What was the journey like? And how are we feeling after the aftermath of the quarterfinal?
Personally, like the support was immense. Like that was crazy having that many people at the New Zealand game. And even like the amount of travel and sport, like more people came over to England than they did down to Cork and over to Belfast. Like, so like we felt the support so much. Like that was crazy. But I think from the get go, like the lead up to the World Cup, like our preseason and everything, we were we were put under pressure in training and that kind of prepared us to go into all these games and we did feel prepared. And I think like the in-camp feeling was great. Like we like camaraderie and we all got along so well. Like there was no like hiccups or anything. Like so like I can't say one bad thing about like the lead up and in-camp. We can't say one bad thing about sport or the matches either. Obviously there's like things we might have done a bit different, especially in the quarters. But my experience of the World Cup altogether was amazing. So grateful for all that. Like.
First of many for you, hopefully. We'll
Hopefully.
get to see you at the next one. So we might dive into the two games over the weekend. So we had Canada against the Black Ferns, which I think for some people it's an upset, for many people it's not, given the last few games they've had. They drew their last game in May, and the May before Canada beat the Black Ferns. So, I don't think it's too much of a shock to many. I think the really interesting part about Canada is, talking about the crowdfunding element of them getting over there. I think there's a bit of a kind of, I suppose, not misinformation, but just a misunderstanding about that story. They didn't in total crowdfund. What they actually did was this incredible strategic kind of cost benefit analysis coming into the World Cup, where they basically looked at how much would it cost to win a World Cup, and they settled on a figure of 3.6 million Canadian dollars. The union fronted up 2.6 million of that, and the players fronted up the 1 million through crowdfunding. And that was looking at things like coaching, strength and conditioning, travel, accommodation, all the equipment they need. And it's kind of looking like it's paying off, Chloe. They're into a final of the World Cup now.
Yeah, they were actually class. I only got to watch the game today. And kind of after seeing the results, I think I was a little bit like that, of saying, how did they beat the Black Ferns? they didn't just beat them, they absolutely trounced them in every facet of the game. They were unbelievable. The variety of like their play was super. Their scrum half was like Bordan Sansus and Antoine Dupont had a baby. She was immense. She was unbelievable. If I could bottle that, I would buy it in spades. They just blew him out of the water. The Black Ferns had no answer. They didn't know what to do. And to be honest, I think it tees up for a very, very good final versus England next week. I think that's going to be a cracking game based off what we've seen the weekend.
Chloe, do you think that Canada really targeted that game and just got their strategy absolutely nailed on for it? Or do you think it was just Canada being Canada and doing what they do well?
I think there was a few things. Like, I think the Black Ferns made a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. You know, like the weather, if you were to compare the two games, the weather was completely different the Friday night to the Saturday. You know, Saturday was a bit of a mud fest. It was rain and it was lashing. Friday night was relatively dry, but like New Zealand just made so many little errors that they don't usually make. But I think a lot of that came from pressure. And then, as I said, they just varied the game up so well. They did the basics so well. Their ruck speed was like lightning quick, so hard to defend. And then when they got into that red zone, they were so clinical in everything they did. I think they probably definitely targeted that game. And to be honest, they probably went a little under the radar the whole tournament. Like, you know, the group stage they were in, you know, a couple of weaker teams, but they definitely peaked at the right time. They got that bang on right. And I hope they peak again next week, to be honest, for what's going to be some final versus England. But the Black Ferns really just, they fell to pieces a little bit.
Yeah, Ruth, looking at a lot of the phase play by Canada, it just, like Chloe touched on there, the ruck speed was absolutely intense. I think the third try was kind of the epitome of what they were doing, particularly in the red zone. It was just forwards pick and go, pick and go, pick and go. I think there was 14 phases in a row leading up to that try. 13 of them, the forwards had their hands on the ball at the base of the ruck every time. And then last one, they go out wide. That phase play, how hard is that to defend against?
Oh, it's crazy hard, especially like you get sucked in. That's exactly what that, like, you get the forwards driving up. Obviously, the initial intention is to get the ball over the line, but what it's also doing is sucking in all the defense. You've got bodies on the ground, you've got bodies having to shuffle in, and then they spot the wide and they go for it, and it's successful. Like, and I think that's something Canada is so good at, is just executing. They're just like, they're well able. They've got a stroke of luck for them.
They seem really well rehearsed in that, and they timed that Peltier getting the ball out wide. They'd sucked in all of those Black Ferns, and there was so much space out wide. It was really, really effectively done. In terms, Chloe, of the defensive reads by Canada, they seemed incredibly effective at shutting down the outside options. You could see that they would have a shooter, but it wasn't an out-and-out shooter. They'd all kind of wrap around on the outside to cut out that outside option, and the Black Ferns would have nowhere to go.
Yeah, they played their winger quite high, and then obviously have that fullback sweeping in the background so that if that pass does go over the top, that they'd cover it. But the Black Ferns kind of didn't really have, you know, an answer for it. Like, you think they'd throw that loop pass, or they might look at a kick pass, or play something. Like, they did kick a couple of times that, like, small little chips in over, because the Canadians were coming up so hard with that winger up high. It's something England will probably look at, I'd imagine. You know, maybe they'll try get a bit deeper off it, so that they'll try just move ball to space without actually taking up space, because we know the wingers England have, they're lightning, you know, Abby Dow, Jess Breach, and then if they can get Ellie Kildun on the ball as well. But like, Canada's game plan just worked. Everything they did worked, you know, like, it was just one of them days where, like, a couple of things went awry, but most of what they did went really well. It's like, you know, they say fortune or fucking opportunity, fortune's the brave, you know, and I think that's what they did. Like, and they got that stroke of luck when it came along. But for me, like, it was just the strategic masterclass. And then in attack, like sometimes they just pick and go. Then they'd go wide, and then the 8 would throw a 20-meter pass wide. Like, their skill set was so high as well. It was like to be honest, it was like they were on 1.5 speed and New Zealand were on 1 speed. But defensively, they got it bang on. But I think England could pick that out, especially that high defender. It's a dangerous game when you have really good passers of the ball like Holly Aitchison and Zoe Harrison. So that'll probably be an area that I think England might target, is to throw that loop pass over the top, or maybe just kick to space instead.
Kind of more on that. I mean, 9 turnovers is pretty decent for turn. But they seem to be happening consistently for Canada in the right parts of the park at the right times. Chloe, what do you think they did so well at the breakdown? And were able to kind of to unsettle New Zealand's midfield carriers so effectively.
Yeah, I think a little bit of it was actually ball carry. Like, the one in the second half, like just as the second half kicks off, like New Zealand, they come out, your plan is like catch the kickoff, set up, let's get a foothold in the game, and then they just carry in way too high. And the number 3 just says, thanks very much, I'm going to take that ball now, and you can shag off because you didn't look after it. And that's what happened. Like, but she just, like, they were so reckless with the ball. And Canada just punished them. They just punished them. If you're going to be careless and you're not going to have your cleaners in place, we're going to turn you over. And they did that so well. But for me, a lot of those turnovers was really poor ball retention from New Zealand. Obviously, you still have to win the turnovers, but like their body fight and their body height, I thought was quite poor for a team of such a high caliber. And it was actually baffling for small basics like that from the Black Ferns, who, like that double World Cup champions, to be so poor on.
Another thing, actually, come to you, Ruth. After our match against them, I know it was a tough result for us on the day, but I thought that New Zealand's set piece was kind of only okay. It wasn't amazing. And I think that kind of paid the price a little bit for that as well in this game against Canada. Did you see much going wrong there technically for them over the weekend?
I mean, I think their set piece was grand. Like, I think that it wasn't anything special, as you said. Like, you would kind of expect it more from 2 World Cup winners left. Do you know what I mean? I think that they kind of, for example, when they got that line out, then and they were trying to maul off, and they just go straight up in the middle, and then it's contested in the air. They didn't get them all off, and it's kind of like, it's just messy stuff like that. They didn't go their way. And I don't know whether that's the opposite of what happened to Canada. Like, Canada showed up in the day and it was their day. Maybe I don't know whether it was just not New Zealand's day. But yeah, it's kind of been a little bit consistent in that, like, it's not had a huge amount of like depth in their launch plays, or sorry, set piece, not their launch play.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see kind of fairly consistently like line out success and winning games. They're pretty closely correlated, and I think Canada managed about an 87% success rate in that game. It kind of showed.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that New Zealand's defence in the line outs, they're good at getting up and putting pressure on it. You go, and not take that away from them. Like, they're good at getting up.
Oh yeah, no fair. Like, I mean, I say this with the greatest respect.
Yeah,
knowing
100%.
All
All
who
this is a bit of pinch of salt,
absolutely better at rugby than I can ever dream of being in my most lucid dreams. So, Chloe, like, there was a lot of Canada's dominance there. I think came from 2 areas. It came from the breakdown and pinning New Zealand deep by denying them clean set piece launches. Is that the template now for beating the Black Ferns, or is there more to it than that?
Oh, I think there's definitely more to it than that. You don't just go out and beat the Black Ferns. Like, I know we've done it, and now Canada have done it, and I don't think you just go out and beat the Black Ferns by copying that. I think you have to have a certain type of player to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought Canada's skill set was so high. I thought everything they did just was so clinical. And even the basics of, like, as we were saying, like, when they were close to the try line, obviously the goal is for forwards to score there if you can. But I just thought their decision making of when they weren't going to score and how quick they transitioned to put the ball back so that the next person would just carry. Like, it was literally like one ball carrier, place the ball back, quick cleaner, pick, one ball carrier. And it was just like clockwork. Everyone was on the same page. Like, I think if you could copy that, I think that would be great. To be honest, when I watched it, I thought, Jesus, why didn't France do that? Because France versus England, it was like carry, slow. We won't pass it out wide. We might score in 46 phases later. We'll butcher a couple of tries. And if Canada or France did what Canada did, I tell you, they'd have been in the game against England. But it was the opposite. It was slow. It was sloppy. They were too busy trying to all score to try themselves. Whereas Canada just seemed like very much, we'll just trust the process and then we'll score out wide. And if the forwards score, great. If they don't, the backs are going to do a job. Whereas with France, it just seemed, we're so stubborn. We're going to keep carrying it. We're going to keep coming around the corner. I'm going to pick it on my own and actually zigzag back the other way. And yeah, it just didn't really work. But for Canada, I just thought everything was magic, to be honest.
Ruth, looking at Sophie de Goede, who is absolutely outstanding player for Canada, there seems to be a real kind of strategy around what she does. In terms of the attacking rucks, she's very much staying out of them and she's coming around the corner or she's working off somebody's shoulder to get that big carry, go forward ball. She seems to lack no skills though. You know, she's the forward that kicks, she can pass, she can carry, she's making decisions in split seconds and they always seem to be right. For me, I'd say player of the year. What would you think?
She's definitely like, she's up there anyways. Yeah, like even her try, like she just makes something out of nothing. Her try, like coming off the shoulder of line, it was just like skewed a little bit and then come out fucking over the line. Like when it
Right
happened,
place, right time.
you'd blink and you'd miss it. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that is something like that. That's not just luck. Like that is a thing that you have to be good at, is being in the right place at the right time. And I like definitely think she'd be up there for player of the year.
I think it really kind of shows an amazing rugby IQ that she always knows where to be. The last time I saw anybody do anything like that, it was probably Chloe Pearse, who always knew where to be to flash the ball at the wall.
You're just saying that now because she's on the call. She's
She
giving her all these
hates-
titles. She's
Ruth
giving her all these
hates me on the
titles
pitch,
now.
Ailbhe. You're killing her now.
I don't give it the time of day, man.
Yeah, no, there's an NDA over the contract. We can't discuss the details here now, so we can't go any further into that.
Chloe, a quick chat about New Zealand. There was hints in the game of the New Zealand that can be. I think Stacey Waka had a particularly good game. Her aerial game, her ability to chase those kicks was really, really good. Some of her carries, absolutely incredible. Sorensen McGee is, a child or almost a child. Incredible player when she gets the ball in hand. She's such a threat. So there were shades of the New Zealand that we know that they can be, but it was only here and there. And there was a real purple patch, I think, in around the 60-minute mark where it looked like they were going to get back into the game and then they just fell off for those kind of last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, like Sorensen McGee, she's 18, like she's going to play in probably 4 more World Cups, you know what I mean? Like, and she's top try scorer still at the moment, depending on what happens the weekend. Yeah, like even Stacey Waka, like they definitely targeted those kickoffs and she did. Like it's like a set piece in itself, isn't it? Like if you have such a clinical kick and then someone who's that athletically adept to get up and win the ball back, it's amazing. Like, and they really targeted that. But then they just had, just errors in the wrong place. Like when they were only a try down, they get into the 22 and Demont comes in from the side, 10 meters out. That was a killer. There was just little things like that killed them the whole game. And then like that, they just get back in the game. It's 31-19, 71 minutes on the clock. And you think, we've seen this before, right? You've seen this in the last World Cup final against England and they're going to come back. And look, we were out and we were at a function with the club and myself and Hayes were chatting and I said, no, New Zealand are a second half team. They're going to come back. And she was saying, I watch Canada. And now I'm raging because she was right. And she was saying, they're going to, I said from day one, and I was saying, no, New Zealand are going to come back. And then I was fuming when they didn't. But then to get the penalty and just say, something, we're going to push this out to a 3-score game. But that was a sign of respect for me from Canada to say,
yeah,
we know you can get 2 scores in 9 minutes. We're going to make it now that you have to get 3 scores in 7 minutes. Like, I thought that was it was a very, very clever decision from Canada to push it out to that 3-score. But yeah, like you just think on 65 minutes they're going to get back into it, and then Canada hold out. And to be honest, they probably deserved it anyway. You know, it would have been that real robbery at the end if New Zealand came back in the game. But it was just a cracking game, to be honest. Like the first 2 minutes, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to have an aneurysm watching this. Never mind the players. Like it never, for the first 2 minutes, it did not stop. It was better than the whole France-England game, the first 2 minutes of that game. It was class. It was a great game to watch. But yeah, that's the Black Ferns now done for 4 years, and we'll see what they come back with next time.
Yeah, I think, you know, looking at the Canada team, I wouldn't have thought that they had every element of the game to beat the Black Ferns in all of those elements. But they did. They walked them. They had flair. They had, you know, big pack doing hard carries, playing really intelligent rugby at the right times. And even that first try, I think, just summed up the flair that we can see from Canada. Kick over the top, regathered again, pick and go. And then that dummy by Peltier was just the dummy to sell all dummies, was just beautiful. And in beside the post, it was a beautiful game to watch. I think Canada overall have just shown that whether it's off the pitch and strategizing how much money they need to win a World Cup, or on the pitch, everything they do, it's just really, really clever stuff. You know, they're maximizing their budgets, they're making sure they can do everything right. And it was beautiful to see. We'll move into the game that nobody wanted to watch, where there was two teams playing that nobody wanted to win. It was England against France. Chloe, the early phases, I think, showed a little bit of promise for France. It looked like they were going to, you know, build up towards the try line. They worked their way up there within 5 meters. Botterman comes over and does what she and Meg Jones would do all day long. Big turnover. France didn't get enough into that ruck, and France walk away without any points. It kind of summed up the game in those first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that kind of happened for the whole game. Like they made so many opportunities to, like they had 61% possession for the game. And I like the territory, when I look at it, I'm like, there's no way, because France must have been camped in that 22 for 40 minutes of the game and just couldn't score. Like even one of the tries, Condé's try, like how does Esquerdo not score that? How do they not go wide? And then they carry for about 20 odd phases. Forwards, going over and back, going nowhere, boring. And eventually then they're like, okay, we'll actually score this. And they just butchered so many chances, like, and they didn't give themselves the best opportunity to win that game, to be honest. I thought they had enough opportunities. And then England just do England. And regardless if they're not playing well or they're playing well, they're mauled from 25 meters out and Amy Cockayne scores, and then the ball bounces into Ellie Kildun's hands magically and she runs one in. And then France, the last try, look, they were just throwing caution to the wind, you know, and that's probably an unlucky one, but they kind of had to go for it at that stage. But yeah, England, God, they just show up when they have to and they get the turnovers when they need them. But there was times like when France kind of had them on the ropes, you know, it was 5-7 at half time. France should have went in up the lead, but they didn't, and England then just go on and win and go to another World Cup final at home in Twickenham. So they'll be delighted. Like,
Ruth, those kind of turnovers that we were talking about, Botterman, I think, made, she technically made 4 of them, but they went back to a penalty. Huge turnovers. Meg Jones made 4 of her own, one of them a maul turnover. When you're 5 meters out from the opponent's try line and there's a big turnover like that, what does it do to the psyche of a team to try and get back? You know, they're obviously going to exit. They're going to go 40 meters or so, and you have to get back up there. How difficult is that as a team?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it'll put you on your back foot. Like, I think keeping that mental of like, okay, let's just get back. Let's just get it back. Let's keep getting forward. Get to the game plan, play our systems is something that you have to really stick to. It doesn't make it very hard when it happens more than once, and you're kind of like, oh, we're in the same boat now. Jesus, like, it feels a bit helpless. But I think that, like, don't know if it happened. France dealt with it very well, but like that's what we do in training. You kind of have to, yeah, stick to your game plans. There's not much like when it does happen like that. There's not like it's that okay, team together, take a breath. You have that minute. Let's go again.
they didn't seem to learn from it though, or adapt on the pitch, because it just kept happening all game. Very much more in the first half, but still happened in the second half. Chloe, for you, I thought France's kicking game was quite questionable. There was a lot of kicking to the back three, and England were only loving it because they're facing a fractured D-line, and France were very much a fractured D-line post-kick, and Ellie Codon was just having a field day.
Yeah, do you know what's a great game plan when you kick to the best player in the world in open field? That is just a fantastic idea to do.
Genius.
I also think when they kicks back, they let it hit grass a lot. Like, so you kind of, England then have so much more time to come up and put that pressure on France, who then give away penalties under that pressure. Like, so it's
it was a difficult watch. I think personally for me, I was watching it back and kind of analysing the game and just thinking, why are they doing this? France know better. And it was a lot of Bourdain Sansu seemed to be doing it, I bet, as well. But I think Chloe, France really, really relied on Bourdain Sansu, and hoping that she'd come up with something different, or hoping that she'd have an impact on the game where she shouldn't even be expected to. Like, what you previously called the Gregan pass at one point. She puts the ball back inside after drifting right from the ruck. She gives it to Bourgeois, who runs straight into the wall that is Cocaine and gets absolutely flattened. And then 10 minutes later, they have a line out and they decide, we'll just get Paulie Bourdain Sansu to go through the middle. And it's over-reliance on that one player, Flair, really, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I actually, 2 weeks ago, we were singing her praises. I actually thought she was a little bit lackluster the last two games. Even against us last week, I thought the girls shut her down really, really well. She still had moments of brilliance, but I thought they were less.
Very few.
Very few than we had seen, in those group stages. France lacked leaders last week, right? Or Saturday. Losing Mane Falau was massive. She's obviously their captain. She probably was the best player in the Six Nations that they had, and they definitely missed her. Then obviously, they had a couple of other injuries as well that impacted them. And like that, then when you lose 3 or 4 big players in a team, it either breaks or makes or breaks you, right? And to be honest, it probably broke them because, as Ruth said, you get into those stages where, you keep getting turned over and you're trying to gather the team and you're trying to get everyone together and stick to the game plan. But to be honest, it just kind of went to a bit of implosion and it didn't really look like there was a game plan. And that's where I think you needed a couple of people to kind of stand up and kind of grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and they just didn't. And Bourdain Sansu didn't. But it's hard, you're one player in 15, your forwards aren't getting, too many places, and you're trying to do everything yourself. And it's just tough when you're up against a top quality side like England, then with really, really good defenders. Like Amy Cocaine is an unbelievable IQ rugby player. She must be one of the smartest England have. So to run a Gregan back into her was, I wouldn't be doing it in the morning anyway.
It's a surefire way to get somebody seriously hurt to run into her. She's an incredible player. Chloe as well, I think France's decision when they did have the ball and when they got in behind was just, it's the type of thing that would kill a coach watching it back. There seemed to be so many selfish decisions that were made. If the ball goes one more pass, on 3 different occasions, if the ball went one more pass, they were in or they were making 40 metres and only a few metres out. Ball stayed in hand far too long.
Yeah, I think we kind of spoke about this, about Marine Ménager and some of the passes she didn't give, and she's their co-captain. What are you doing? You're supposed to be leading the team and you're the selfish one, not giving the ball to some some really incredibly talented players. They left 2 or 3 tries behind them by just not giving passes. It was mental. If they had people to bring on, I'd have whipped her off. I wouldn't have cared if she was the captain or not. I'd have whipped her off the pitch because she did it more than once.
Yeah. The attitude was wrong, I felt.
Yeah, it had to be sometimes the ball just has to go, and I don't care if you're the captain or you're new, it's a 2v1. And this is an international team now, let's be honest. I'd be annoyed in a club game Saturday if that happened.
Yeah.
I'd put that up under review. Why aren't you passing that ball? Never mind a World Cup semi-final and you're the captain. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was very selfish out of her a couple of times. She wasn't the only one, but there was definitely 2 or 3 times at her.
Ruth, I think some of the decisions as well that France made in terms of, what they were going to do at penalty time, having a scrum, 30 metres from their own line when they're against the English pack who were dominant in the scrum. Just some harebrained decisions, I think, in leadership.
I think that this all comes back to like all these like the three last conversations we had come back to the same thing as their decision making. Like, I think that they're like under pressure, and we were told that when we were going to play against them as well, put them under pressure, they'll make mistakes. I think that's exactly what it is. They're put under pressure, they panic, and they don't make the right choices. And mistakes are made, even if it's like those split second ones where they're giving away penalties or taking a scrum against an English line 30 metres out.
Yeah, it does seem to be kind of this pattern of the French is that when they're good, they're really, really shit hot.
Yeah.
But when they're bad, they capitulate and they become, rather than a team, they're a group of individuals who are just really trying to push something that's not on, or really trying to play a bit of a selfish game. It's
trying to get into that flow state, but it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't seem to click for them. Whereas I think us as the Irish, when we're put under the pressure, I think it's more cohesive. The players come together, they talk better. And it's probably a sign of the Irish leadership that when we do that, even when Sam Monaghan comes off the pitch early and she's injured and Tricky hasn't started, there's still vocal leaders on that pitch, and we've come together very effectively. From an Irish standpoint, who are those vocal leaders when Sam and Tricky aren't there?
Definitely, like we have a few in the forwards and a few in the back. Like I don't think that, like, I'd say Brittany's definitely one of them. We have Eve Higgins in the back line. Like we also have our like defensive and attacking leaders. So like if you have an attacking message or a defensive message, you go through the leaders on the pitch rather than having a huddle, say after we've scored a try, or if they've scored a try and we've come together, instead of having 10 voices talking, everyone spitting their ideas, we come through those leaders. So attack would normally be Dana and defense would normally be Fidelity. And we'll go through them, and then that way they can kind of sift out and get those main points across rather than having 50 points spat into that huddle and not anything being taken in. We get the right ones at the right time, and we go at it again.
It's an incredibly efficient way of communicating. I like the sound of that. Shocked to hear that the defensive stuff comes through Aoife Dalton, by the way.
Why?
Because I'm being sarcastic.
Biggest
She's
tackler on the
incredible.
pitch.
She is
Sorry,
incredible.
I was about to
That's
stand up for my
sarcasm,
girl,
guys.
man.
That's sarcasm.
She
Missed
is.
that one there.
She is out and out one of the most
Yeah.
offensively brilliant players, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Her reads are incredible. She's got away with murder, when she's shooting, because she's getting it right so
Yeah.
often. She's
100%.
an incredible player. Right, to touch on the other topic, we touched on it earlier, which was the World Player of the Year nominees, which were just announced in the last few days. So we have 3 players: Sophie de Goede, Meg Jones, and Georgia Miller. No room for Ellie Kildon. I'm not sad.
None of us are, don't worry.
No,
Not alone in that one.
nobody's
I'm not
sad.
sad, but I'm like, she should be in there. Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest. I'm not sad about it. So what about her? Like, but she definitely should be in there. Like, come on.
I thought Meg Jones, though, in the game at the weekend, she epitomised what she does. That she was like another back row forward. She was absolutely incredible. I think she had a run of injury and she was only back in the Six Nations, but she's just been so good. Georgia Miller, what do you think about that, Sally?
I just don't think she's played enough games. Like I think she's class. And she only played 40 minutes of the first group game. She didn't play the semi-final. She played last week, yeah, but so she got her first cap against Australia before the World Cup. She's probably only played 4 games of 15s, and I'm like, how is she up for Player of the Year versus Ellie Kildon, who almost single-handedly drags Harlequins into the PWR final, all of a sudden lit it up in the Six Nations once again, and the same. I know she was injured, she came off and she missed the quarterfinal last week, but I still think she's been class. I don't think it's fair to measure the two. I think that's a bit of a token. Georgia Miller is still going through a breakthrough Player of the Year, which she deserves, but I don't think she should have been Player of the Year. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Y'all can do what you want with it.
I know, I'd agree.
You're not suggesting there might be politics involved in the World Player of the Year
No,
nominations
no,
by any
no.
chance, are you?
No
Surely
politics.
not. Oh, God. This is
fair.
a lovely thing.
I saw a post today saying that Alex Matthews should be dropped for the World Cup final. and she's the current like player of the year, or like she's one of the players situations or something for Marley Packer, and I was like, "What match are you watching? Go away from me, will you?"
Did you tell them they know nothing about rugby?
Ah, it was some. Do you know something? This is what I get now for clicking links on Facebook.
Listening to nurse.
I feel like though that like the decision of Georgia Miller does feel like somebody who's just watching rugby through social media and just watching those lovely moments that she's done, but isn't looking at the overall picture. If you're looking at the overall picture, for me, Pauline Bourdon-Sansu should be in there because she single-handedly carries the French team for the most part. She is an incredible player, both for club and country, and she's consistently so good. I know she's kind of been found out a little bit in the last few games, but overall, she is just an outstanding player. Chloe, out of the three, who are you picking?
Oh God, I don't know. I think it'll
There's a
depend who
forward that
wins.
kicks. There's a forward that
she
kicks. Don't forget
She
that.
also had an intercept. You never mentioned the intercept she had. That was class.
This is
as
true.
well.
This is true.
My
To
only
seal off the game as well.
Yeah,
Like, done.
my only disappointment was the other day was when they had the advantage that she didn't drop back in the pocket. I was like, God, please sit back and take a drop goal. Like, please, come on.
Oh, that would have been.
I think
chef's
it'll depend
kiss.
on who wins the weekend. I think if England win, they'll give it to Meg Jones, and if Canada win, they'll give it to Sophie de Goede. That's
Georgia
what
Miller,
I think
no
will
chance.
happen. No, Georgia Miller can go home. She'll probably win. Her, Saracen McGee will probably win Breakthrough Player of the Year.
Yeah.
To be fair, for all she's done for the Blues, I think Saracen McGee will actually win it.
I hope so, yeah.
In terms of a 15s player. So I'm going to sit in the fence and just say whoever wins their player will probably get it.
Justice for Aoife Wafer, though. Just saying. Should have been there. Should have been there. Right. Cian, insight into your weird and wonderful brain. Lucky dip. Let's go.
Time yet again for the lucky dip. Yeah, pick a number between 1 and 15 and you get a question off my random sheet of fun here. And since Ruth doesn't know what's what with this, and since Chloe got off very lightly last week by going third, that means that you now have to go first the next 3 times or something like that. Anyway, we'll figure that out afterwards. So, Chloe, you go first there and pick a number between 1 and 15.
I'll just change the questions if I don't like them anyway, so it doesn't matter what she'd
This
ask
is true.
me. Or I
As long
just
as you
throw
come
someone
up with
else under the bus.
As long as you come up with an amazing story to do so. Fire away.
No pressure.
I'm going to go 11 today.
11. Okay. If we looked in your camera roll right now, what is the most random or unexplained photo we'd find? I'm not going to ask you to put it on screen. Don't worry.
Oh, Jesus.
Nothing that's not safe for work.
It's definitely something from the last few weekends. Like
She's literally looking through
I'm
her camera.
I'm literally looking.
I can see the light
I've-
thing on my face.
I've had a ball at the World Cup the last 2 weekends. I'm not going to lie. They were 2 of the best weekends I've ever had. What was the question again?
She's just reminiscing here now on the phone.
I have one,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you. I have one, but I'll have to tell you off camera.
Okay.
I
can't wait
remember
for
what-
that.
I'll
You
take
know
that.
something?
Okay.
Sorry, Cian. I have one. This one
Okay.
is actually. I can't remember what the question was, right? But and I will
Here's the
show
story.
this photo. There is a story. So I went to someone's house the other day to give him a hand with something, and as I walk in, I look down at the at a cabinet, and there's a box of holy bread there, like holy bread that you get in a church now,
Wafers.
Like the wafer.
Communion wafers.
like the wafers, yeah, communion wafers, like.
Oh,
I'm
Christ.
like, so I obviously
Literally.
took a photo.
Body
With it, so I have the photo.
Oh,
That is a
my.
massive jar of communion wafers.
Did
Yeah.
they steal it?
I know-
Do
I
you know
know.
something? I was told, ask no questions, don't ask where it came
That's
from.
fair.
But I
Oh,
took
wow.
a picture with the holy bread, and on the way home, I stood in a big puddle, and then something else happened. My friend Huge, and we decided that obviously that was because we touched the holy bread, and that was God's
Even
way of
cursed.
smiting us. Wait, yeah.
Jays, I don't know
You were
what day I should be.
judged.
We used to steal the holy bread from my old school.
See, for some people,
We
that's
used to
just normal.
sneak in, yeah. No, I something terrible must be gonna happen to me now. If you got muck on yourself for even taking a picture of it.
You're gonna
You're
find
gonna burn in
Jesus.
hell.
No, yeah, I was going to
I'll
hell
be honest,
anyways,
we
you
were
know
all
this,
going to
man.
hell before we even jumped on this.
We're all
podcast.
going anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because you can buy those unconsecrated easily enough, but
They taste pretty good. I mean,
No, it's like cardboard. Aftertaste is shocking as well.
I was
That's
delighted to
beautiful.
find out a couple of years ago you can get them gluten-free now as well. So that's
Oh,
savage. Yeah, that's
modernising
The
for
world
you.
has gone so
Yeah.
soft.
There you go.
Imagine one up in church. Sorry, any gluten-free holy bread. Nah, the vegans will be out next. Go away. Move on.
Yeah, Molly stuff from McCabe on this. Yeah, have a good chat with her.
Oh yeah.
Vegan.
Oh.
Right. That's number 11 gone. Ruth, you get the idea now. Pick a number
What's
between
the
1 and
number
15.
between 1 and 15? Is it okay?
1 and 15. Of course it is.
7.
7. Okay. If you could turn any everyday object into a rugby trophy and make teams play for it, what would it be and why?
Jesus.
I know.
Well, I know where my mind went, but
holy
anyway.
bread. Pay for the box of holy bread.
I would get fucking, what is it, little cross and just cheese on it. Yeah, I would do that one of them, yeah. I don't know why. There's a bit in my head from the holy bread. I don't know what I would use as a trophy. I'd kettle or something. We had a teapot games in squad, so maybe that.
Teapot games.
Yeah, we used to have a teapot, so we split into mini teams, and you have your teams for the whole of the pre-season for World Cup, and then we would compete at the start of training sessions in little mini games, little energizers, and you'd earn points, and then you get points taken off you if like one of your teammates say forgot a GPS vest or something. Never did that myself though. Don't worry about
Sure.
it. And and at the end of the week, you get whoever wins the teapot gets the teapot cup.
Amazing.
Incredible.
So there's an actual. You
There
didn't
you
even
go,
have to
yeah.
make one up. There you go.
Can't get better than that.
Amazing.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Oh,
Right. Well, the lucky dip strikes again. Ruth, thank you so much for joining us and being such a good sport, particularly with
No problem.
the video we dropped in at the start. Chloe, thanks as ever for your magnificent analysis. Really, really hugely appreciated. So next week we'll be looking ahead for the bronze final on Saturday at 12, followed by the big game between England and Canada at 4. Make sure you don't miss out with our follow-up podcast. Follow us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, keep on rooting.